afternoon, everybody. Um, Welcome back to the fifth video of the literary commentaries. I believe this is the fifth video. The first video was on Catullus. The second one was on Julius Caesar. The third one was about the second essay of Nietzsche's genealogy of morals, and the fourth one released this week for me, but this video will be released next week, so it will be a week ago for you guys, which that video is the one about Titus Livius, and I basically go over the first 5 books of Livius ab Urbe Condita. It basically means from the founding of the city. And I only covered the first 5 books because that's just what I was interested in covering. But anyways, this video is on about St. Augustine's Confessions. A quick background on St. Augustine. He was a Christian, pretty religious man to say the least. He was a son of a pagan father and a Christian mother. And Augustine in the Confessions pretty much gives us a little bit of an autobiography of his early years, where he was very conflicted with his worldviews. And from what we know, this was written in when he was in his 40s, and he basically gives a quick recount and gives us an idea of how painful his journey was to overcome his youthful ways and his sinful lifestyle. He's one of Christianity's most influential thinkers, without a doubt. To be honest, I feel like what he says here is pretty honest. I feel like he was a little bit harsh on himself in this autobiography, though, but that's probably what he was going at for, because he's probably what Nietzsche would describe as the embodiment of the aesthetic ideal. And the Confession also just addresses fundamental issues of the Christian, whole religious doctrine, and he pretty much offers his own interpretations of certain things, which we will get into. So the first couple books are pretty much about Augustine recounting his early years of life and how much he was much of a sinner. And then he gives us an overview of his life in Carthage, where he was a rhetorical teacher, and also he was very inspired by Cicero's Hortensius, which the Hortensius is, I don't think, survived to us, if I recall. So it's something we don't know. The only thing we have of the Hortensius, I believe, is just one line from which Augustine quotes in. I don't think he quoted in the Confessions. It might have been in the City of God, but do not quote me on that. I can remember most things, but detail to extreme, perfection detail, not really. I don't have that good of a memory anymore. I used to when I was a lot younger, actually, but now that I am in my 20s first year, I am not too able to remember such great detail. But anyhow, I think this work of his serves as a way to just to see the journey of religion and faith in general. It has a little philosophical element to it. And what I mean by that is basically that Augustine pretty much goes over how can evil still exist, what is time, and he also, there's another thing that he said, but I can't recall it right now. And then Augustine also really spends the rest of um the near end of the Confessions just focusing on interpretations of the Genesis, which is about the beginning of God made heaven and earth and so on. And Augustine pretty much lays the question here: what was God doing before He made heaven and earth? And he pretty much goes into an extreme detail. That's something I don't want to spoil here. And he also goes after like what the meaning of Genesis 1 verse 1 and 2 mean. In the beginning God made heaven and earth. The earth was invisible and without form, and darkness reigned over the deep. Basically Augustine gives what heaven here means in the spiritual creation, and earth, what is earth, because which material world was to be made, whereas basically heaven is a firmament when God created on the second day. And he gives us an overall breakdown of how like heaven differs from material creation, and he discusses his own interpretations of the verse. It's a pretty unique thing. I think people should definitely read it. And then most notably, my favorite is probably I enjoyed books 7 and 8. Book 7 is basically about him just why he had difficulty thinking of God as a spiritual being, and how he found a proper explanation of evil, and how he used the book of the Platonists to help him. And it's pretty darn good. Like, I cannot lie. Like, after book 7, I think I really started loving the Confessions, honestly, because it was like when Augustine really started really going in. And book 8 is basically a little story of this conversion of this person named Victorinus, and we're told he's a translator of Plotinus, which is a Neoplatonist. I have his works, but I've not read them. I know him because well, I know who he is, and I wanted to get some works, which I have not read of him yet. And this is just a good book in general, because it just shows the conversion. And there's also other things really, but it's not really too relevant. And also, like, there's also a big factor here of Augustine's mother. Like, she's, like I said, she was a Christian and her husband was not a Christian. So Augustine's mother played a big role in his conversion and like dedication to Christianity as a whole. And I feel like Augustine's interpretations of certain things of the Christian doctrine, and just overall his account of his own like journey to his faith, I think it's something relevant. I think some people in Christianity should probably read. I think he has something good to offer even after all these years. And well, me personally, I don't consider myself a Christian by any means. Like, I used to be. Like 2 years ago, I was really strong in my faith, but as of late, I have grown distant from it. Not exactly of any like sin or anything, or just like, it's really just got to do with like fellow Christians themselves. I just do not think they're living up to their own the Christian ideal, which is something I feel that you have to live up to consider yourself to be part of this great religion. And I don't think I will ever return back to that place. And it's sad for me, really, because I was really dedicated to that, and I was something I felt very virtuous and proud of. But sadly, things just can't be the way you want them to. And if I ever do decide to focus and return to my faith, then let it be. But as for now, I do not think that is likely. But yeah, give it up for Augustine's Confessions. Very good book. I do want to read his City of God. I just have not had the opportunity to purchase it. But the literary commentaries are what you would expect, just commentaries really. And I hope this series is really something that is enjoyable to hear or just watch. There's nothing to watch in these videos. It's just commentary for most of the time. And I do plan on doing, by the way, I'm working on some analysis of some Platonic dialogue, Socratic dialogues, or whatever you want to call them. And to be specific, they're going to be the Gorgias, the Meno, the Protagoras. And I think those are very interesting dialogues that I've read. I have to reread them because I wanted to write about them, and I was not exactly very too familiar with it had been a while since I read them. I believe I read all of these dialogues exactly a year ago in the month of January. I was very into it, and I just felt like I should probably reread this if I want to do a video about this. And the Socratic dialogue, the Platonic dialogue. Oh my God, I don't even know what to call these. Platonic or Socratic? We'll just say Plato's dialogues. So Plato's dialogues are something very enjoyable for me to write about and read up. They're like very enjoyable. Like I'm just really into like this whole ethical thing that Plato has going in his dialogues. And you can expect those videos in the future, but they will probably take some time to make. So for a time being, you might see other videos that are not related to what I just said that I'm working on. But anyhow, I must get going, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.